SHIF, its nationwide strike after 99 days. Give us a little bit of context into that return to work formula or agreement, rather, that was signed yesterday with the Council of Governors.
Okay, thank you very much, Michelle. The Kenya Union of Clinical Officers commenced its national strike on 1st of April after 7 days strike notice that was not acted upon by the employer. And subsequently, the strike has been going on for 99 days until yesterday, when we had at least a framework which we call a return to work for our members to resume duty. And we must appreciate that indeed this is an opportunity where we can continue engaging the employer. Some of the issues that we had raised, which are 10 agenda on our strike notice, are issues that date back 2017. And there are issues that cut across. As much as you'll see that the clinical officer on strike and a part of the other sectors, these are issues that affect all the healthcare workers. And it is only also trying to inform the government that we need to be proactive to address the issues of the healthcare workers so that we can move forward. For instance, in our return to work, we were focusing to address the issues of the universal health coverage and other form of contract that continue to discriminate our members under the counties where they are paid peanuts, but they work the same way as their counterpart on the permanent and pensionable. So the UHC staff were employed in 2020 when COVID was ravaging this country. And they bailed us out of that because we had to employ around 10,000 after realizing that our system could not work. But again, they were put under punitive terms that do not support their social well-being. So we have been pushing that they be transitioned to permanent and pensionable, citing that that is the only benefit they could have gotten from the government after even some of them losing life. But that has become so difficult because then again, the government has not prioritized that to allocate resources that is required. This year, the ministry had indicated that it had close to around 4.2 billion. It needed around 3.7 billion to transition all the 8,700 to permanent and pensionable. But unfortunately, that money has not been provided. What they have done, they have again extended the contract under the same punitive term, which we are still contesting. So that matter, so far, having pronounced the government having pronounced itself, we feel then we have to use other means to continue agitating so that the right thing can be done. And this is something that has been happening under the county, Michelle. So that I mentioned this, there are the people with the equal value, people with equal qualification, they are put to work, they are paid 15,000, 30,000, while their counterpart who are on permanent, they are earning close to 100,000. That is not how the country must be governed. And that is why we feel that it is time that change must come and, and the leaders must start treating people equally so that you don't discriminate people by virtue of what the position they have.
But one key thing, let me just bring in Ashira. We'll be getting to the issue of human resource, even in the implementation of universal healthcare in the country. But Ashira, beginning July 1st, the Ministry of Health announced that the free registration of for the Social Health Insurance Fund. And the health CS says that the digital nature of the fund itself will be fundamental in erasing fraud and corruption, particularly in claims management. What is your overall assessment of as we prepare to roll out, to move to SHIF fully?
Thank you so much, Ngele. I think public health officers in this country play a very crucial role. I represent public health officers and technicians, and we are not on strike. And I want to comment what my colleague George Gibore said, that that issues that are actually pertinent that need to be addressed in this country in terms of healthcare. But having said like that, I think the issue about registration to me is not an issue because we already have data with the NHIF. The NHIF, you know, everybody in this country, once you enroll at one point in NHIF, there's data already. So the issue was the government wanted to do, the ministry would have done, is just to transit data from wherever it was to from NHIF to SHIF, because that is naturally what is actually supposed to be there. But ideally, they think maybe the issue about registration, to me, maybe they want to to confirm who and who, but the issue is they should not have actually been able to bother Kenyans. They should actually translate the data, because you have the Kenya National Bureau of Statistics, this data with the ministry, this data with the NHIF. They should just transited the data from NHIF direct to SHIF without actually be able to bother Kenyans on other things. Because ideally, for us to SHIF came, and I want to say that it was hurriedly done. Our input as public health officers and technicians was not considered, because we believe for us to achieve universal health coverage, it is important that we begin at the community level, because all the decisions are made at the household level. Because whatever we envisaged in the SHIF, or rather in the Primary Healthcare Act, it did not actually mirror what as PHOs or other healthcare workers could say. It can come in to be able to solve part of the problems that we actually be able to look at.
Right, but you mentioned, because President William Ruto made it clear that the major reason for this shift from NHIF to SHIF is because NHIF is limited, that it captured only a small section of society, leaving behind millions others who did not have the ability to pay for hospital bills. Is there that guaranteed inclusivity, so to speak, in this shift, in the new shift, in this shift, in your view?
But everybody used to pay for NHIF. I think, to me, what the president did not get it right, maybe it was the management of the fund at the NHIF. But where we sit, because once you had that card, NHIF card, it means that you are paying a certain amount of money, whether annually or whichever way, to NHIF, and therefore you are actually entitled to get services based on what actually you are actually paying, because you remember it's not the same. The payment, the tariff is not the same. You pay according to whether you're employed, you pay this. When you're unemployed, you pay 300, I think it used to be 200, then go forth and forth and forth. So I think, to me, SHIF, I call it SHIF, is an improved NHIF, because it's just an improved, so like talking about a kitchen, kienyeji kitchen, what do we call it, chicken, and this one. So what they did, they just wanted to segregate, they segregated the fund, maybe from the primary healthcare fund to emergency chronic fund, to social health fund, so that they can be able to attract maybe to cast their net more wider to different people.
Right.
Yes.
Gibor, your thoughts, especially when it comes to inclusivity, because the government says there's many more who have not had the ability to pay that will now be covered.
Very true. I think the sentiment of the president is not far from the truth, that NHF was purely made for the people who were in informal sectors. And that is why most of the time, like when they introduced the Linda Mama, they had to come with something as more of a policy to provide for that. When they came with on how to support like the elderly, they had to come, and those funds were used to come from individual sectors, like the social from the social sector, and also from the education for purpose of Linda. It is called AFIA, Edu AFIA. Now, for me, let me make reference to the specific objectives as outlined by the government on why we had to have this SHA. They say, and allow me to read, Michelle, that this was intended to increase investment in financing preventive and promotive health and access to relevant essential services at the primary level. That is key. 2, to progressively expand services covered under the SHA for Kenya and the resident, including among the poor and the vulnerable groups. 3, to progressively enhance financial risk protection for all beneficiaries, including the poor and the vulnerable groups. 4, to progressively improve the quality of health services for better health outcome. And 5 is to sustainably finance the essential benefit package to all the Kenyan. So up to date, I think we have been going to between 19 to 24% of the total population covered under NHIF. So then what we wanted to focus is how do we expand so then we can be able to cover. Indeed, under NHIF, there was no provision to fund the primary health care. What are primary health care services? And as he talked about, we have programs like even school programs that are supposed to be done by primary health practitioners. But that is not funded. Now, you have community services that are supposed to be done. They were not funded. So NHF did not have any mechanism to fund those services at the primary level. And that's why the public sector, you'll find that a majority of level 2 and level 3, which are the majority facilities that we have in the country, were not under the NHF. But unfortunately, when you go to the private facility, even clinics that does not even have a capacity or an ability to admit any patient, they were under NHF. So there was biasness in the way, because in any case, the way these things were done, they were not supporting the public facilities. In any case, for me, I say, when I look at the structures that we are proposing under SHA, is a good thing. The question is, will this have been done under the NHF? Expressly, yes. Because one, there are a few things we'll have tilted, or rather even amend the NHF to ensure that we could have accommodated this. The biggest question that Kenyans have been having is the loss of money that we normally have. Look, for example, that the Auditor General picked that last year, we lost 365 million because of error, that there were false claim or overpayment by virtue of NHF transacting and paying that money. Right. Now, and indicating, and I have seen even some of the advisors of the president mentioning that it was a typing error. How could a type error cost the government or cost Kenyan 360 billion, and no one has been arrested? Right. They have not even said they are claiming that money. So what we are asking under SHA, what are the measures that we are going really not to lose any money that is intended to provide services? That is one of the issues that the president has spoken to, and even the health CS, who says that the biggest difference between SHIF and HIF is that the program runs on a digital health platform, which then comes with numerous benefits, especially when it comes to accountability. I think I was coming there, that this government, when it came place, it gave us four Act of Parliament, and one is the primary health care bill, the one is the integrated digital health system, the second one, the third one is the SHA now, and the other one was the Facility Improvement Fund. All these bills are key because a majority of them, they were not there. Right. For instance, we did not have the digital bill, we did not have the primary healthcare bill, we did not have the facility improvement bill. And all of them are intended to actually support each other to ensure that facility in the public sector or even the health, we are able to grow the public facilities. But again, Michelle, when you talk about the digital system that the president talked about, was it difficult to actually integrate the same system under NHF? Was it irresistible that it could not actually be accepted under NHF? That's not true. It is only that they took that advice to the president, and the president believed that then that is the best. And we feel that what we call stakeholder participation, the process of engaging people, was not consultative. And that is why we are here. Now, every Kenya has a fear that if we do this transition, it is going to cost people because of that teething problem that is going to happen under SHA. And the surety that Kenya needed to see have the question under safeguarding the interest of Kenyan and ensuring that at least we safeguard them funds under those SHA or rather NHF, we don't see them. We keep on seeing a lot of politics on what is supposed to happen, but again, we still continue losing money. Up to the last year, we are still losing money. Okay, and so part of where the money is going, Ashira, has been even in lack of compliance with regulations, which has led to many cases of fraud and fictitious claims within NHIF. And so the SHA Act itself has regulations that are intended to seal these loopholes, which will save public resources. And these include, modalities of enlisting, contracting, settling claims, and development and benefits. Have you taken a look at these regulations, and are you confident that we are likely to see a reduction in these cases of fraud because of the digital aspect of it? Fraud is done by people. Fraud is done by people. And I dare say, when you create a system that, for example, if I am the chair of, for example, SHA. SHA, for example, is going to be there, and I'm happy because the Act has explicitly
given out how that chairperson will be appointed and maybe the board members and what have you. What we need to be talking about right now is how do we now put these members into accountability? We should not be, you know, the only challenge we've been having is that we shift, like we've said, we shift a problem from here to another problem here. We have not seen the president, or rather the ministry, cracking a whip on the errand, or rather on the people who have been claimed. People, there was a KEMSA issue, there was all this, the one my colleague Georgia said. We needed to see at least some people being taken to jail and being taken to court over such a claims like in NHIF. But look what has happened in NHIF. People are going scot-free, and there's the same people who are going to actually circumvent and then come back to SHA. So what we are saying about the fraud issue is that it must be noted that the board members, even the people who are supposed to manage this fund, because it's very clear that the board is supposed to have the sole responsibility of managing the fund, that these people must be above board, they must be above par, and they must operate within the limits that if somebody is found either embezzling or, because I mean, I want to say to you for free, some of these guys, some of them have facilities, you know, either whichever way they are affiliated to either facilities, healthcare facilities, or what have you, and most likely they'll come in with other issues. So we need to put in place very stringent guidelines, mechanisms to ensure that one, for example, I'm a board chair, I'm a board member of a SHA authority. I'm supposed to operate within what is supposed to be done. And when I'm found guilty or culpable of anything, or like fraudster or what have you, I should actually be taken to court and face the law as it is. And you know, where I sit, you know, this country is grappling with a lot of issues, especially with the NCDs. It is projected that by 2030, the rate at which the NCDs are going to go, they are actually going to surpass the communicable, NCDs, non-communicable diseases, are going to surpass communicable diseases. We're having issues to do with cancer, diabetes, we're having issues with air pollution. Those are the things that actually this act, also the primary healthcare fund, need to address as per se, because if we fail to address such a kind of non-communicable diseases, we'll still have the same problem recurring and recurring again. It is important that we put much more money on investments to do with the prevention. Things like vaccination, for example, things like screening of cancer. In this country, the last time we do screen, you go out to stage 4. People don't even have the knowledge of screening. We don't have the knowledge of vaccination, for example. We don't have the knowledge of prevention, the simple things that we actually talk about. So it's important that the SHA, when it comes in place, we also need to ensure that they also address the challenges to do with the prevention, because it's important.
Let me say what
even as you come in, George, because there's been a lot of confusion about what the 3 different funds are for and their significance in this.
I think before I move to that question, let me make it very clear. I think he has tried to butter it more. What I'm saying is that the system, whether digital, is as good as the people who operate it. If they are dirty, that system will be as dirty as they are. And the one good thing that he has mentioned, which I need to emphasize, is that we see a lot of claim of theft, but no one has ever been held culpable. So there is no deterrent whatsoever. Even if we continue saying we are changing what? They will still steal anymore and walk large. They continue pocketing our money that is intended to benefit the patient, and nothing happened to them. If we cannot be able to hold anyone responsible today, do not promise us heaven that will never take us there. So that is what we want. We want action, so that then, if I'm put there as Gibore, and I know that I cannot be able, but I know the action that can be taken if I embezzle any money, then I will not do it. Until such a things happen, we will not actually be able to say that there is any difference between NHF and the SHA. Let me say this, and this is why we must continue encouraging probably the change that is being pushed by the Gen Zs, that if there are officers who have been accused of embezzling public fund, they should not continue being in office. Why should you have been accused? You are on the ladder of the, like for instance, the anti-corruption agencies, and you are still serving office. You have been claimed to have stolen over 7 billion. Your bank has been frozen, but you are still serving. Serving what? Serving who? Already, what it is said that we don't have trust with you. So leave the office, let have someone else. But if the president cannot be able to walk that talk, then for us, we can continue saying, let's wait to see what can happen. Let me move to where you are talking about the 3 funds that we have allocated. Right. There is the primary health fund that is intended really to give services to the primary facilities, public primary facilities. But of course, it is not limited to public, because in any case, now those who will be members of the SHA will not be required to have picked or rather chosen facilities that they can seek services to. Right. It is open. But again, if you look, indeed, the intention is good, but what is the resources allocated? Because then this is supposed to be funded, government funded, or rather public funded facility money. These are money that government need to allocate. What was the projection for the budget? There was a projection that they wanted to start with 50 billion. Right. What was the money given? It was 4 billion. So what can 4 billion do? In any case, we are going back to status quo. And that's why we say we talk of good things, but our action indeed tells us that we are not making any change as we continue promising. All right.
And let's take a break on that note, because when you come back, we'll be discussing the impact of that funding shortfall and what it would mean even for prevention of communicable diseases and many other critical illnesses. We are discussing the implications of the shift from NHIF to SHIF. More coming up after the break. Do stay with us. 4 billion. 4 billion.